And welcome, everybody. We're happy to have you here for kind of an impromptu podcast that is not got a name or anything. It's just a bunch of us that got together and decided to talk about specifically mods. And this topic came up because last Wednesday, while we were all twiddling our thumbs and eagerly awaiting the kit releases for the new GLs, CG did release something, but it wasn't what we were expecting. They came out and said, hey, you guys have a new progression system that's coming in this week. By the time we publish this, hopefully that will be tomorrow on Wednesday. We'll have that new progression system where we get to take mods from 6E all the way up to 6A. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that means. And what I'd like to do is introduce the folks that we have here today. Today we've got Carth joining us. Say hello, Carth.
Hey, everybody.
And of course, anybody that's listened to these podcasts is well aware of our Queen Avi. Say hello, Avi.
Oh, hello, everyone.
Good to have you back. And it's a royal day today. Not only do we have Queen Avi, we have King of the North. Say hi, King.
I don't want it, but hello.
All right, so we're jumping right in there. Well, first of all, I'd like to throw out just a general question to you guys. What was your initial reaction last week when we saw the CG had decided that this was a fantastic time to release a new progression system in mods? So what was your initial thought? Anybody can jump into it.
Ladies first.
Okay, my first thought was, hey, it's great. We really needed some kind of a new mod thing to be added because we've got like some content that we're kind of stuck at the top of our tier right now, and we needed something more to be able to break that glass ceiling. So the mods are just, I think, one step into helping us break that hurdle, especially, for example, the light side territory battles and being able to do much better with that. I love the idea, and we do need something with the mods. However, it's the timing of the release that kind of gives me a bit of a shock. And it's the fact that now we're going to have to use some different types of mats that we're going to have to farm for. But in actuality, at this point, we're not having to farm them. Through galactic challenges, there's a limited way that we can obtain these mats at this period of time, which that's a little bit on the frustrating for me anyway.
How about you, Carth? What were your thoughts when you first saw it?
When I first saw it, I was just devastated. I thought that it was just another horrible progression system and really frustrated. But after reading onto it, it seems like it's going to be like I'm sure it'll be paywalled for a while. But besides that initial hurdle, feels like a real bone thrown to all of us that don't have all God tier mods. Especially, I think this was basically another Vader buff. Because Vader needs all his secondaries, and now you're going to be able to get every secondary sliced 3 or 4 times, which seems really bonkers. So this is probably the best progression system update I think we've gotten since For Malik.
What are your thoughts, King?
Well, my initial thought was I was happy about it because I thought it was more of a progression towards being able to compete against Galactic Legends with non-Galactic Legends, kind of gapping the speed, the huge gap in speed between, say, the Revens and the Galactic Legends. I think it's a good thing. I'm like Carth. I think it's going to have a paywall to start with, so everybody prepare yourself for that. But after the initial shock and awe of it, then I think it's definitely a good thing.
All right, well, I agree. I saw it, and of course I was shocked because that wasn't the announcement I was looking for. But once I read it and saw how it was going to work, I see this as a really good thing. So we'll talk a little bit more about how we're going to plan our strategies around using this. But before we get to that, I'd like to ask you guys about mods in general. We have all been in this game for a very long time, and we know lots of people that love certain aspects of the game, hate certain aspects of the game. There are territory war, people that love that, and people that hate it, and people that love TB, and people that hate it, and all of that. And within that, there are also people that either really like mods and get into the theory crafting behind it and trying to make sure they all work great. And there are also people out there that just despise them and refuse to actually focus their attention on farming mods correctly, slicing mods correctly, putting them on the right tunes. They just have never really gotten into that. So the question that I have for each of you is, what is the importance of mods for you? How important are mods to this game, and not just mods themselves, but utilizing them, farming them, slicing them, placing them correctly? How important is that? Let's go to King for that one first.
Uh, they're probably the most important aspect of the game. I mean, they're the difference. A good mod is the difference between a top 10 arena team and a top 100 arena team sometimes. It's also the difference in a top 10 score in like the Sith Triumphant raid or a top 20 score. Mods used to really suck. I'm not gonna lie, I hated mods initially when they were first released. After the rework we got, I think it was last year, I really started investing in mods and really started paying attention and really started liking the way they were working. But again, I mean, it's the most important aspect of the game. It can make or break a team in every aspect of the game. No matter what your favorite part of the game is, whether it's raids, whether it's arena, whether it's territory battle or territory wars. They're the most important aspect of the game in all aspect of the game.
Any dissension from that, either Carth or Avi?
Not at all. Not at
Yeah,
all. It is an essential part of the game. It is the most important aspect that you need. You need to have, whether you like to farm mods or not, it's an absolute must if you are to be even semi competitive with every game mode and in PvP.
absolutely. There's not liking mods isn't really an option anymore. Just had to learn to love it.
I hate mods. I really hate them and I hate farming them, but it's just a necessity that, it's like I practically puke in my mouth every time I have to farm mods and then have to look at them and try to get the speed up and figure out, do I want to keep this or do I want to just sell this? So
Yeah, I've said for a long time that metas come and go, but mods are forever. So mods are really meta in this game. That you get good mods. It doesn't matter what new tunes they come out with, what new characters, what new squads. You can always move your mod to the new hot thing, right? But you need to have that good library of solid mods. And what's great about it is, like I said, they never go out of style. So we all remember when Revan, for example, was the unbeatable team. And now he's kind of, down in the middle of the pack. He changes. Yet the mods that we farmed for him, I'm still using on the next stuff. So I agree with all of you. Mods are extremely important. The question that I have now, though, is since they're so important, and since, obviously you hate farming them and you puke a little every time you have to do it, I'm curious about the methods that you guys use to go and try to get those best mods. What kind of, we don't need to take an hour going through rehashing. There's lots of YouTube videos on how to farm mods, but just kind of at a high level, what do you guys do for your mod farming? How do you do it? What types of things do you look for? What in your opinion makes a good mod? Go to Carth for this one to start.
Well, for starters, I think mod energy is one of the areas you should be spending crystals. You need at least the 50s, if not the 100s, every day. And then you can either you can decide how you spend that up. I usually will pick a set of mods I'm looking for, so either crit damage, offense, speed, just one of those. And then one day spend all those refreshes farming those mods. And then the rest of the week is searching for secondaries, leveling up to good mods. And by good mods, the vast majority of the time, you are looking for a speed secondary that hits at least 3 times. I would say is the minimum. And even then, I don't think you 6E 3-time hit. So Yeah, just the rest of the week be farming the slicing materials and then slowly work up till you get the 5As.
Do you use the store at all? The shipments?
I do. It just kind of depends on where you're at with your account, but you should set a fleet credit and normal credit amount, and then whenever you go above that, start looking through the store is generally how I do it. Or if I'm looking for like a very specific nest mod, like something that I don't really care about speed as much, or trying to think of another weird one, like Jedi Knight Luke, any types of those mods, I might search the store for specifically. Crit avoidance mods, I usually find in the store, just things like that.
How about you, Avi?
As I just knocked my mouse across the floor. If you heard a thump, that was my computer mouse. What I do is I'll farm mods 4 days a week, and the rest of the time I'll get like the mats and stuff to be able to increase them. At my level, it's essential. At this point, I need to farm. I can't go below a certain speed. So even though there might be some really cool mods, if it doesn't hit my speed mark at a certain level, then I just sell them because there's a mod cap. So and a lot of times you're going to hit that cap. So what I do is a lot of times I'll be very choosy about the white ones. And once in a while I'll move them up, some of them up to 12. If they don't have anything, of course they get sold right away. The green ones, if I don't get like one hit of a speed on a green one, then I sell that one. And the blue one's the same thing. If I can't get close to a 9, then that's gone too. The purples are one of the easier ones for me to mod. If it doesn't hit a 9, then it immediately gets sold. I don't care what it is. Even if it's got sometimes even if it's got a ton of offense on it, because I have so many mods that sometimes I just need to, you know, be able to sacrifice some of those mods to able to get others. So if my purple one has a 9, then I will keep it for now because it'll roll to a 10 when it gets gold. But and then once I start getting more speeds, more and more mods, then I'll start selling the 10s. But it's just a process that you have to go through, and you need to figure out and need to balance out whether you're going to be farming your mods every single day or just a few days a week, or like Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Maybe the rest of the time you're purchasing the mats to be able to upgrade your mods. So it's a real balance and being able to do that, and it's tough. And the drops on these things are horrible. Being able to get some decent mods, so it's really frustrating sometimes.
What's your strategy, King?
Well, I don't disagree with anything that Avi or Carth has said. The only thing I do different is when I farm my mods, I will roll every mod I get that's a 5 dot mod. I sell anything that's not a 5 dot mod. I don't even mess with it. I will roll every 5 dot mod from gray. If it's gray or not, I will roll it up to 12 and see if I get a speed secondary on it. I do that now because the last 4 or 5 20 plus speed mods I have all started as gray mods or MK1. I sell anything that doesn't have speed. I don't care what the secondary is. If there's not a speed secondary, it's sold. If it's a gold mod and it rolls to anything 10 or below, I sell it because once I 6 dot it, it's only going to, 11 speed. I might change that strategy now that we have this new upgrade, but the past has been sell anything that's 10 or below speed, because as they've both said, as Avi and Carth have both said, not in this way, but speed is king, and it always has been. So, except for like the new tunes, like Jedi Knight Luke, if you have him in the lead role, then speed's not so important. But you still want speed in case you use him as a support in other aspects of the game.
Yeah, there are some fringe characters that speed doesn't matter on, and it's actually better not to have a lot of speed on, but they're so few and far between. The rule of thumb is you want to have speed. And like you, I go through and take every mod that I get up to 12 just so I can see all the secondaries. If it doesn't have speed, I sell it. My threshold is you've got to have at least 10 speed for a purple mod. If you don't have at least 10 for purple, it gets sold. I will keep those purple mods that have 10 or 15. If let's say it's got 10 and I roll it up, slice it up to gold, I will keep it even if it doesn't hit speed because I can put it on some of the lower tunes, and then I'll just kind of filter those off as my mods get better. One of the things that I've found I'm not doing anymore is I'm not actually farming mods by going through and doing the mod challenges anymore. Maybe it's just because I'm lazy, but I go through and I pretty much buy all of my mods from the shipment store. It's refreshes for 15 credits. I'll do a few refreshes. I look at every single gold mod only, and I will purchase. I've got a ton of credits. At end game, the credit crunch isn't nearly what it was in mid game and certainly not early game. I think I've got 150 million gold right now. So I can afford to buy those things. But I've found that I do that more often. And then I trust in the mods that I get from some of the challenges that come across, some of the events that will give you mods. And I'll bring those up. And I've had some fairly decent luck with that. But I think, King, you made a good point, is a lot of my really good mods did start their life as a gray mod that got sliced up, including my absolute best one, which brings me to the question that I wanted to ask each of you. Real quick, what's your best mod and why?
Oh, I just had one the other day end up being my best mod. And it was a white mod that got up to 27,
Nice.
27 speed. It was let me think, a square, I think it was. A square or a diamond. Or, yeah, square or diamond. And I was like, oh my God, it's been a long, long, long time since I've seen one of those. So, yep, and it had some nice secondaries too. It was a cross. It was a cross because it was a potency. It was a potency cross with 27 speed.
Beautiful. How about you, Carth?
Honestly, my favorite one is an arrow. I think it's an offense arrow, offense primary with 23 speed, and it's got potency and health on it. I'm a big fan of that one mostly because it lets me have the flexibility of all the extra offense, but still not give up a ton of speed.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we can go beyond 6E, there's a chance it hits that last roll and gets up to 20, up to potentially 29, but probably not.
Nice. King, what's yours?
I've got probably four, and they're all four of my 25 speed mods. Most recently, my critical chance cross. I rolled it. I sliced it from a gray mod, and it hit speed every time. But it's like you've said, it's got all offense secondaries as well. So it's a good all around mod, which is now on my Jedi Knight Luke. So
Excellent. And my favorite also started its life as a gray mod that came up, and it is a triangle offense set with an offense primary, hit 27 speed with offense, crit chance, and potency as the other secondaries. So that one I absolutely love because all of the secondaries, the set and the primary match. They're all offensive. And since it's already rolled 5 on speed, I'm fine with it rolling once we go up to 6A. I'm fine with it rolling any of those other ones. But that also leads me to another question. When you're looking at mods and defining what makes a good mod, how much do you pay attention to the secondaries, obviously, the primary, and the set? And how important is it for you that there be some synergy between those? Meaning, like the example I just gave with an offense set with an offense primary, it's got an offense secondary. speed, obviously, and the other two secondaries, potency and critical chance. That makes for an awesome offense mod. How important is it that there be some synergy between all of those for you, or does it matter to you at all?
It does matter a lot, especially if I'm purchasing a mod in the store. And any of those mods that I do buy there, it might be like a triangle, a cross, or a circle is what I generally look at in the mod store. The secondaries are very important because you might get a health mod that has an offense primary and then has all defense. And it depends upon what you're looking for. It might have been better to have the primary as either protection or health, for example, instead of, say, offense. But that if that's the case, then that's something that I will consider. But there's just some of them I just don't even look at. Like some of the white ones, if I bring it up to a green, I'll just take a look at it. And if it's got like very low defense, very low anything that's not going to move up very much, then I just go ahead and get rid of it. I just go ahead and sell it. If it's like a 0.1% offense or something, it's not going to move up very high. And that's not going to add to what I need as a secondary.
Anything to add to that, Carth?
I definitely agree that if you're buying mods, they matter a lot because you don't want to buy, just because a mod has speed on it. Be picky with your credits. And then for some tunes, I think it really matters. But then I think a lot of times it really doesn't. It's a nice bonus, but like a 27 speed mod is great on Hermit Yoda no matter what. Ideally it hits, but I think, and again, it depends on your roster and it depends on how many mods you have, but I think you definitely have some leeway where you can take you could take a offense set mod that has 27 speed and a defense primary and just put it on C3PO, even though, just whatever you need to do to get some character speeds up, even if you don't hit their sets. Now, obviously, that's not ideal, but I think you have some leeway. But I definitely wouldn't 6E that just for kicks. So.
Well, in the same question to King, but I'm going to change it up on you a little bit because I think we've answered it already. But in terms of somebody who hasn't paid attention to mods, is new to it or whatever, what is the importance? What's most important? What's mid? And what's least important between the set, the primary, and the secondaries?
Okay. It depends on the character. If it's a General Grievous, I'm looking for all health sets with all health primaries, with as many health secondaries as I can get. If it's Grandmaster Yoda, I'm looking for an offense set with critical chance, with as much offense and speed secondaries as I can get. Another good example is back when Revan first came on the scene and Traya was on her way out the door. In order to keep Traya viable during that meta switch, my guild at the time, we all went through and modded our Traya for tenacity so she would survive. So we were looking for all tenacity sets with tenacity secondaries and speed secondaries and health secondaries. It just depends on the character. If you've got a character that doesn't have any offense like Hermit Yoda, you just want their survivability there. If like he goes unstealth and he can be targeted, you just want survivability there. You want some health and maybe some tenacity. And I imagine the same thing is with Admiral Hodor or whatever her name is. She's more of a passive character, her and C3PO. You just need them to survive. So it depends on the character, what you're looking for, and depending on the character, it is very important. If it's just mid-grade characters, then I don't pay much attention to them. I just throw whatever my best mods are on them for like Territory War or Grand Arena Championship. But it just depends on the character that you're looking at, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree, but I think that one of the mistakes, at least it's the mistake that I made when I first started not paying attention to mods, and it took me a while to actually get into them and try to figure them out. But I always went for the set first, looked at the sets, got to have matching sets, then looked at the primaries, and I looked at the secondaries as, that's just icing, whatever. I see that as
Yeah.
exactly wrong and backwards now, because if you look at the amount of boost you get from having good secondaries, they actually are more than you get from having matching sets. In fact, while it offends my OCD, I have several tunes that don't have matching sets just because they've got the right primaries and secondaries on them. But I think that when we're looking at the power of the mods, the secondaries are the things that give the most boost, followed by the primaries, and of course you want to have them on the right tunes. And lastly, the sets. If you can have the sets put together, fantastic. And again, I'm OCD, so I almost have to do it. It really offends me to have mismatching sets, but that's just me.
I'm raising my hand because I'm the same way.
Yes, we Avi and I sit in this OCD corner you know, by ourselves and fix all of the pictures on the walls, make sure everything's straight and all of that.
Hmm.
Well, I come and visit that corner every now and again, so don't feel too bad.
Go ahead, Carth.
I was gonna say, I mean, I think it really depends on where you're at, as far as in game or not, because in game, like it's just like having good mods that don't have good primaries or good secondaries or the right set. It's not going to matter, like even if you have a great mod, if it's not perfect, like you're not going to be able to take down someone's Malik that is modded perfectly. I think a lot of it really just depends on what you're seeing versus late game versus mid game.
Absolutely, and that's a perfect segue because now we have an opportunity that should be presented to us this week, according to the announcement that we got last week, to make our mods even more perfect. So, what kind of strategies do you think we should be looking at when taking mods from 6E up to 6A? And there's a couple of things I want to throw out. So, one strategy is to go through and look at all your best mods. Like each of us gave an example of what we think our best mod is. Does it make sense to go to those and bring them up? And then go to each of our best mods and bring them up? Or does it make more sense to look at a specific character who is modded pretty well, but is, whether it be a GL or maybe it's JKL because we want to get him up there, take a specific character and whatever good mods he's got on him, go ahead and bring those up. Or is there a different strategy that you guys would use? And for this one, we'll go to Avi first.
What I would do is I would recommend doing your arena team first, because your arena team is going to be the most important in terms of being able to, say, get first place, to be able to get your crystals, to be able to buy more mods, add more bats or whatever it is that you need. So your arena team is going to be the most important. Whether that arena team is already modded the way that you want, that's what you need to look at. If you're able to take a couple of mods that you've been kind of holding off because they weren't quite what you needed for that arena team, but by taking them to 6A, then yes, switch that out. But you want to make sure that you've got your arena team done first, and then just kind of go down the list from there in terms of either GLs, JK Luke, and some of the other like TW teams or TB teams that you need. But you want to focus more on what's the most important on your roster. It could be a specific tune, it could be a specific team, but you've got to take a look at that before you just start upping random mods. You might take your best mods, but your best mods are waiting for the perfect tune. It may not be on sitting on a tune at the moment. So, it's all up to you, but I would just go for arena first.
Again, all of this is just going to depend on your account, and it'll mostly depend on how many we can slice at one time, like what the inflow of materials is. So I use a GL for my arena team. And so I don't think that I'm going to need, I won't 6A hardly any of those mods, except for probably the offense arrow that can hit speed one more time. I do think that Vader, assuming that he's still a valid GL counter after the new ones, I think everyone should 6A, 6C their Vader mods. I don't think there's any other tune in the game that needs his secondaries to be just about perfect. And so I think this was a huge buff to Vader. I can't believe how perfect this is for him. And then after that, probably going to focus on speeds that only hit 4 times and try to get that 5th. Then after that, I'll probably be hoarding for a minute and see what the GLs need, counters I need. But I think Vader is going to be everyone's first go-to. That'll be really put the nail in the coffin to some of these Ray Maliks that we're seeing.
I completely agree with Avi. Arena first, but I also agree with Carth. Vader has become so important in the game. And we all love Vader. We all thought he was getting the short end of the stick leading up to his buff, his rework. But yeah, I'm right there with the arena first strategy. Go with what's going to give you the most crystals to work with, and then after that, your next tune chart character should be Vader.
Yeah, I agree as well. Even though I don't currently do anything in arena, I've been enjoying bouncing back and forth between 200 and then I'll climb up to 40 and then I'll drop something and let myself go back to 200 because that way I get to play and I don't have to worry about coordinating and kicking people out and all of that sort of stuff. And I don't have GLs and I don't like to do the GL counters. Now that I'll have a GL, hopefully here soon, that might change. But in general, the best advice is always to get as high as you can in arena consistently so that you get that steady supply of crystals so that you can afford to do more farming. So I completely agree with that. I also think that it will make sense to look at some mods that Carth mentioned, looking at the mods that hit speed 4 times and try to go ahead and get that 5th one. I also have several mods that I've kept around that have very low speed. They've got 5 speed, but I kept them because they hit offense 4 times and I got 156 offense or something like that. So for those, I might want to go back and see if I can get that speed up for those really good offense mods. And then, as I've mentioned, actually all of you mentioned, it really matters what tunes they're on. So I'm actually foreseeing a lot of mod swapping after we do all of this. That some mods, like my best mod right now, the 27 speed, is currently on Bastila Fallen. And I mean, that's great, but I don't use her all that much. So if depending on what that mod hits, maybe I move it to somebody that ends up on my arena team, which will likely be a Jedi Luke team. So we'll see. I'm excited about this. I think it's a really good thing for the game for all the reasons mentioned. It gives us an opportunity to catch up on some mods. It gives us an opportunity to be more competitive, and especially light side GOTB. Some of this other content I'm not all that excited right now, and we haven't really touched on it. That the only place you can get it outside of, I'm sure they're going to release packs that you can buy, but the only place you can get it is in Galactic Challenges. I've been fairly underwhelmed with Galactic Challenges, but I don't know, maybe this will give a motivation to actually get in and enjoy it. Other than that, is there anything else that we want to touch on that we could help some folks out with? Anything else you're excited about with this new progression system that's coming?
Not excited at all, really. Just kind of like a little overwhelmed because with the GLs coming out and the mods and whatever else they're going to throw at us, and I imagine they're going to be throwing some packs at us here real soon, especially with the potential for the mats and all that other stuff. It's just a bit too much too soon, I think. Even with the release of the GLs, I think it was just a little bit. They could have waited a couple more months to do that, but well, we just kind of take it as it is, and even with the whales in the game, and I am certainly not a whale, but people think I am. That it's a lot. it's a lot, and it gets to a point. It's like, when does it stop? And when can we stop for a second, have a breather, and then be able to, get released on these other things? I feel sorry for the lower GP people that are still struggling to get their first GL, and now there's two more being thrown at them, plus the mods, plus whatever else might be coming out by the end of the year. It's a lot.
It is a lot, and if there's something that we can count on CG for, something they've always been consistent about, that's bad timing.
Yes.
Carth, you got anything to add to wrap it all up?
If you don't know what to do, hoard. It's worth hoarding. This is a new territory. There will be a best place to put your mods. So
Yeah, that's
hoard
great
for now.
advice, actually, for not just the mods, but also the GLs. Let people get out, use them, let the theory crafters figure it out, benefit from other people's experience, and go ahead and hold on to them for a while.
And from
Correct.
and from them burning their resources. Yes.
How about you, King? Any final thoughts?
Yeah. Don't be overwhelmed. Don't feel overwhelmed with the game, because it is, after all, just a game. And like Mac and Avi have said, CG is really good with bad timing. They don't like to give anybody breathers. They are in the business of making money. I understand that. When the new GLs hit and the new mod progression hits probably on the same day, there will be a lot of whale food thrown out into the water. I would encourage everybody, like you said, kind of ignore it. There will be those whales that we know that are basically krakens. They will not ignore it, and they will gobble all of it up as fast as they can. And, that's a very small percentage, but a very large percentage of the game as far as money goes. But don't be overwhelmed by it. I don't want to tell you to learn to love mods, but learn to like them, because it's the most important part of the game.
Amen. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us here and having a good conversation. Hopefully, this was beneficial, and I'm sure that anybody who listens to this, you guys are going to be posting this on your Discord servers and all of that. I'd like to volunteer you to answer questions because I can do that. So reach out. If you're listening to this and you have questions, reach out to any of us. We're happy to engage. If you don't know what you're doing with mods, if you learn something, let us know and we'll see if we can get that information out. But we're happy to help everybody make their own game experience better, more fulfilling, more successful. And mods are certainly one of the core ways to do that. So thank you again for joining me here today. And you guys have a fantastic day.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
See ya. It was great being on.
Yep. Glad to be here. Good night, everyone.